Sometimes as forest technicians, on the odd occasion, we get stuck out in the woods with no way home. Maybe your partner left the lights on in the truck, or the truck won't start, you lost the keys, something went wrong, and you can't get home at the end of the day back to town. In that eventuality where you end up having to stay in the forest, it's essential that you know how to get a fire going. That's the fire not only gives you physical warmth, but it cheers you up, and it provides searchers with a way to find you. So we picked a nice rainy afternoon or early evening to do our exercise, so we're going to get a fire going. We're going to find a spot to stay and get a fire going in a very short order. Okay, come with me into the forest. Okay, there's one material in the boreal forest that will burn even if it's wet, and that is birch bark. So just as I was walking in here, I was keeping my eye open for a birch tree, and I found some just behind me. I'm just going to harvest a bit of bark off the tree without actually damaging the tree. You can often find on the bigger birch trees, you can find loose bark, just sort of hanging in little strings off the bark. That's all you need to get started. Here's a sample of what I grabbed. Okay, now we're going to find a good place to set up for the night. Okay, so the ideal place for a really quick shelter that you're only going to have to stay there overnight, you're going to be traveling again in the morning, is under a big limby tree. So just when I look around, I can see some big conifers around, and by Jove, look at this hemlock. Let's see what's under it. So here's a relatively dry place. It's been raining all day, and some of the ground is wet, but I can see patches of perfectly dry ground there. So before we get started with our fire, we're gonna gather a bit of dry kindling. So if you look up into the trees, the bottom layer of limbs are usually dead in a limby, wide tree. The bottom branches are usually dead, so that's what we'll just see if they're dry, and yeah, they're perfect. So we don't want to start the fire too close to the tree itself, in case we damage the roots, and there's a chance that this debris on the ground could catch fire. So we want to be a bit away from the tree, but in a good spot. So then we just gently remove the layer of debris from the forest floor a bit. So now I'm down into the mineral soil, which that won't burn, so that's a good place to start a fire. Just break my kindling up into some small pieces. One of the essential tools for traveling in the forest is a means to start a fire, so everybody should have a knife or a sharp implement. I have my axe with me, and a lighter or a means to start a fire, matches or... So you just get the birch bark as dry as you can, and rip it up into like little strips. And that was off a soaking wet tree. You can see it's already starting to burn. So that's the start of our fire. Then once that fire gets a little established, you can start wandering around in the vicinity, looking for larger material to put on your fire. There's some right adjacent to me, am I right? And then just with the canopy overhead, we don't want to have too big of a fire, so we wouldn't want the flames coming up much more than half a meter from the ground. Otherwise our shelter might catch on fire. But you can see that's bright and cheery, and if we were lost and we wanted somebody to find us, all we'd have to do is grab some green leaves and put the green leaves on the fire, and you can see how much smoke is generated from just burning that green foliage. So then at the end of our sojourn in the woods, and it's time to get moving in the morning, or if somebody finds you, it's a good idea to put the fire out behind you. So in order to put the fire out, all you have to do is disturb the fuel a bit. And then stomp around on it a bit. And then to test whether the fire is really out, you just run your hands through that where the fire was, bare hands, and you'll be able to tell if anything's on fire. And it's not. So then when we're absolutely done, we can just cover our spot over. And it's like nobody was even here. Alright. That's Bush Survival Skills 101 complete.